Well, it looks like we're live. Live at 7. Okay, let me see here. Just going to start right off with a bit of a song. Another Blind Boys of Alabama one called People Get Ready. And it's, I like it. I hope you do too. People get ready, there's a train a-comin'. You don't need no baggage, you just get on board. All you need is faith to hear the diesels hummin'. You don't need no ticket, you just thank the Lord. People get ready for the train to Jordan, picking up passengers from coast to coast. Faith is the key. Open up the door and board 'em. There's hope for all among those you love the most. There ain't no room for the hopeless sinner who would hurt all mankind just to save his own. Have pity on those whose chances are thinner, 'cause there ain't no hiding place from the kingdom's throne. So people get ready. There's a train a-comin'. You don't need no baggage. You just get on board. All you need is faith to hear the diesels hummin'. You don't need no ticket. You just thank the Lord. I believe, I believe, I believe, I do believe. I believe, I believe, I believe, I do believe. Okay. Now, I just got to get my act together here, that's all, as usual. Okay. So, that was that. Now, a bit of an intro here, and then gonna go back to a poem, I think, not long after. Anyhow, good evening, COVID in Canada. Hey, that acronym is CC, as in CC Rider. Yeah, see Rider. Yeah, see what you have done. Yes, CC Rider. See what you have done. Girl, you made me love you. Now your man has come. Just a little bit of that one. So, CC could also mean C squared, which happens when you watch too much television and you see squared. A sincere thanks to all you podcatchers. You've been instrumental in giving me purpose, and for that I'm grateful. An insincere thanks to all you podcasters. I keep casting and you keep catching, but I would appreciate it if you would discontinue throwing things back like rotten tomatoes. Here's something I wanted to share last week with regards to podcast 13 on mental health, or last 2 weeks ago. My reason for sharing came from caring for others who are unfortunate enough to not be as good-looking, rich, and famous as me. I can't wait to see what my therapist thinks of this one. Oh, my assistant Dave's at work. He's on an assignment. He's my, well, twin brother too, I guess. Yeah, my brother. He's in Florida on a mission to report about the Richmond couple who might be charged with trespassing on Trump's Mar-a-Lago resort or whatever it is. Unfortunately, during Trump's inglorious tenure in office, he axed the Keep the Snowbirds in Florida bill. His primary concern now is that they may infiltrate his intricate security defenses with bribes of everything Canadian, like real bacon, without the back. Lucky Lager, Crown Royal, maple syrup, Nanaimo bars, and Tim's coffee. I want to know what possessed those two to go to Florida during a pandemic. Maybe they should be incarcerated for being intellectually deficient like Trump. I think that they're back in in Richmond now, awaiting charges. Before he left, I promised Dave that if he managed to do something noteworthy, he would get his name in print. So you know something's going to happen. It wasn't long before someone did that job for me. I didn't have to do a thing. By way of an anonymous tip of a link, in a link to the divided division of unnatural naturists. There was a short blurb with a couple of pics. The first picture was of Dave at Trump's resort wearing his birthday suit while skiing behind a quartet of beavers and being chased by a pack of hungry alligators. Unfortunately, the second picture afforded a closer view. Yeah. It showed him wearing one of those double-barrel drinking hats as he, in the true Pierre Elliott Trudeau fashion, flipped the bird to the many tourists on shore. At the end of the message, in significant bold characters, was, "Is this your brother?" My reply was, "Sometimes." What left me flabbergasted after that stunt was discovering that Dave had almost a half dozen new tattoos, and that's just the big ones. One could surmise that twin brothers would have known that about each other. Wait till he gets home. I'll show him my new tattoos. Okay, I think before I go any further, I'll try and look at the comments. Oh, hello, Claudette, my cousin from Winnipeg. Jocelyn, hi, Joss. Glad you're live. Tracy, hi, Dave. Hi, Tracy. Okay, so now we'll just step back for a second. Okay, this is the next thing is about, and maybe I should get my act together here too, about Thich Nhat Hanh, who's a Buddhist monk, and my psychiatrist gave one of his poems for me to read, and I'll just read a little bit here and let you know what I thought about it. I've read this poem a few times over the past few years and thought that I should make a hard copy of it to post on my wall in a perceptible place, right in my face. But it has just occurred to me that I would read and embrace it initially, then it would become one of those pesky ads on my computer screen that becomes invisible over time. Even if I only peruse it once a year, I get a fresh perspective of how those poignant words speak to me. Essentially, I'm reading a new poem every time. This man has shared his thoughts through writing 100 plus books. My contribution of over 100 poems appears paltry in comparison, and I hope to write a poem that's half as good one day. Thich Nhat Hanh is a Buddhist monk, which I mentioned, peace activist and founder of I think it's Plum Village Tradition. It's a place in the States. He was born in central Vietnam in 1926, and entered a nearby monastery at the age of 16. He has received honors worldwide and was nominated for the 1967 Nobel Peace Prize by Martin Luther King Jr. and revealed the candidate he had who had revealed the candidate he'd chosen to nominate, and made a strong request to the prize committee that was in sharp violation of the Nobel traditions and protocols. So the committee did not make an award that year. So I guess Martin Luther wanted him to have it too much, and maybe he deserved it. He probably did. Okay. So I'll got so many windows here. I will recite his poem. Please call me by my true names. Do not say that I'll depart tomorrow, because even today I still arrive. Look deeply. I arrive in every second to be a bud on a spring branch, to be a tiny bird with wings still fragile, learning to sing in my new nest, to be a caterpillar in the heart of a flower, to be a jewel hiding itself in a stone. I still arrive in order to laugh and to cry, in order to fear and to hope. The rhythm of my heart is the birth and deaths of all that are alive. I am the mayfly, metamorphosing on the surface of the river, and I am the bird which, when spring comes, arrives in time to eat the mayfly. I am the frog swimming happily in the clear pond, and I am the grass snake who, approaching in silence, feeds itself on the frog. I am the child in Uganda, all skin and bones, my legs as thin as bamboo sticks, and I am the arms merchant selling deadly weapons to Uganda. I am the 12-year-old girl refugee on a small boat who throws herself into the ocean after being raped by a sea pirate. And I am the pirate, my heart not yet capable of seeing and loving. I am a member of the Politburo with plenty of power in my hands. And I am the man who has to pay his debt of blood in my people, dying slowly in a forced labor camp. My joy is like spring so warm, and it makes flowers bloom in all walks of life. My pain, if like a river of tears, that's right, my pain, yeah, that's it. So full it fills the four oceans. Please call me by my true names, so I can hear all my cries and laughs at once, so I can see that my joy and pain are one. Please call me by my true names, so I can wake up, and so the door of my heart can be left open, the door of compassion. Thich Nhat Hanh. So, I got so many scene changes here that you please bear with me. Lose track after a while. Okay, here we go. I need Dave should be here giving me a hand. I don't know why the heck he isn't, but that's the way it goes. Okay, so So this is a short blurb called 110%, I'm sorry. Just a little bit to drink here as usual. I'm tired of hearing people say, most notably those in the sporting professions, as I watch a lot of sports, or did, we gave 100% effort, but still lost the 110% effort, but still lost the game. Firstly, you can't give 110% effort. And secondly, it sounds like an excuse for losing. I suppose that 100% of the astute among you already knows that you can't give more than 100%. Percentages are like fractions, parts of the whole. You can't have more than 100% of finite capacity. If you give something everything you've got, that's 100% you've given. However, none of them makes any sense, because if you've got something and you give 100% of it, it's gone. You gave it away. 110% is BS, or at least the additional 10% is. And given that BS is twice as dense as everything else, you are giving only 90%, because 110% minus 2 times 10%, because it's twice as dense, equals 90%. So there you go. Those people are, wrong 110% of the time. The guy goes to confession and asks his confessor for 100% absolution. And for penance, he was told to do 100 ab crunches a day. I'll give it 110% effort, he says, and does 110 times 100% crunches. He did 100% on his 100 crunches, and the same on the other 10. He did do an extra 10% of the crunches, but it didn't give 110% effort. Back to confession you go. Another short one is Haystack. What's harder than finding a needle in a haystack? Well, I'll tell you, finding a needle in a needle stack is harder. Think about it. You could spread out the haystack and use a giant electromagnet to find the needle quickly. As for the needle stack, given that the needles are identical, you would never be able to single out one needle. If one needle is slightly different from the others, I wouldn't recommend the powerful electromagnet approach, because you could instantly become a dense voodoo doll. Sorry, dense was a given. Now, I'm going to do another quick song here, but I do have to get it up. One of these days, I keep saying that, one of these days, I'll get my act together completely. But that would be no fun. Okay, anyhow, this next one that I've got is, I hope you can hear me when I'm not quite facing the mic, is called Mexican Home by John Prine. I got that still. So let's get the lyrics up here. There we go. And this one I kind of sort of know, but John will help me out here, I'm sure. Got so hot last night, I swear, you couldn't hardly breathe. Heat lightning burned the sky like alcohol. I sat on the porch without my shoes, and I watched the cars roll by as the headlights raced to the corner of the kitchen wall. Mama dear, the boy is here, far across the sea, waiting for that sacred call that burns inside of me, and I feel a storm all wet and warm about 10 miles away, approaching my Mexican home. Those darn instrumentals. My God, I cried, it's so hot inside, you could die in the living room. Take the fan from the window, prop the door back with a broom. Well, the cuckoo clock has died of shock, and the windows feel no pain. Yeah, you're still as a train. Mama dear, your boy is here, far across the sea, waiting for that sacred core that burns inside of me, and I feel a storm all wet and warm about 10 miles away, approaching my Mexican home. My father died on the porch outside on an August afternoon. I sipped bourbon and cried with a friend by the light of the moon. So it's hurry, hurry, step right up. It's a matter of life or death. The sun is going down and the moon is just holding its breath. Mama dear, your boy is here, far across the sea, waiting for that sacred core that burns inside of me, and I feel a storm all wet and warm about 10 miles away, approaching my Mexican home. Approaching my Mexican home. Approaching my Mexican home. So I'll try quickly to find out where we are. Oh yes, there we are. So I want to go to that. And okay. Now, one more sec again. It's whiskey. No, I don't drink anymore, or any less. So this is about Windows, like, you know, Windows on a computer. Using Windows on the computer is easier than, on the commuter is easier than Windows on the computer. On the top right of the screen, there are three symbols: minus sign, square, and X marks the spot. Is it a math formula? minus squared times x? I don't know. One may have assumed this, but there are variables, so the method works only when that window fills the whole screen. If I click on the minus sign, then it disappears. But magically, it doesn't. Because the next few times when I click again, it's there again. Still, I discovered that sucker did the same thing as the incredible shrinking man. It shrank and dropped to the bottom of the screen, probably because it still weighed the same. And that would make it fall because of a significant change in density. When I finally saw and cornered the little bugger, I attacked it with a mouse and hit it so hard that it exploded to cover the entire screen again. Wow! Shrink, expand, and repeat, if you so desire. Next, I clicked on the box in the middle, and the window became smaller but easy to find compared to the minus window. If you look at the top right of the window, instead of one square, there are two superimposed smaller ones. After many clicks, I noticed over time that when the screens went smaller, they would often be a different size, which was slightly confusing. And that, boys and girls, is what you call a variable. Now comes the X factor. If you click on the X in the top right-hand corner, one logically assumes the X stands for explode. But it doesn't. Still, I have a hunch that it implodes. But the X factor theory can't be proven. And I think the X factor is affected by the aforementioned variable. That's my excuse anyhow. The standard Greek-speak nomenclature for the symbols is as follows. Minus stands for minimizing. 2 squares are restoring down, and 1 square is full screen. Now, if you skirt the issue, minus would be mini eyes. 2 squares are midi eyes, and 1 square is maxi eyes. And X marks the cross, or the X factor. I face my fears head on, but if the shit hits the fan, I hastily attempt to avoid the splatter. So, another poem. This one's mine. It's keeping up with change. Our parents reared us, and our kids rear theirs. My friends Gumby and Pokey are now long gone. Action figures have taken their places. So long video game Pong. Now it's PlayStation that lights up faces. From our kids to their kids who are grand to us, they may say, you won't believe this. Our parents wrote with pen on paper to make grocery lists and read from trees turned into books. The way of today may seem foreign and strange. We must learn to navigate that river of change. Okay. I have disappearing windows here. That's my excuse. Now, this is a, excuse me. This is a, just a short blurb again. I think Dave wrote this one, I don't know. Any of the bad ones he wrote. The Gauntlet of Humanity. When we made sandwiches at Guardian Angels Church in the West End of Vancouver, humanity indeed came in need, and we fed them, no questions asked. Do not judge. Some might say, I saw that person around the corner shooting up. I suppose there's a good chance that they are as hungry, or perhaps more so than everyone else. The rest of the volunteers were a caring and impressive group, so much so that they even let me sing once in a while, every day. But I was in the back room, so it didn't matter. I volunteered my time for approximately 6 years, helping 2 days a week. Then one Wednesday, we were told Friday would be the last day, like in 2 days' time for the program. I always look back on that day as Bad Friday. No one saw it coming, and the decision left us stunned and confused. Most of the team, myself included, came to give out sandwiches for those final 2 days, explaining to the people that the program had been terminated. What terminated was rough. It was just hard to say. But mostly, they took it gracefully. They just, we're going to have to, hopefully something else will work out. And that took us by surprise. We didn't exactly know why the sandwiches were stopped, and it was difficult to tell them because we didn't know. Oh, by the way, we are giving you 2 days' notice that we will no longer provide you sustenance, and we don't know why. I tried my best to turn things around. I talked to the pastor and asked why, and he was hesitant to say. I spoke to him for a while, and all he could come up with were lame reasons. And I immediately shot down those clay pigeons. Finally, I said, look, the reasons for shutting down this program don't hold water. I think you are grasping at straws as a diversion from a personal agenda, and continuing the discussion would be a waste of time. I saw myself to the door. The next afternoon, I met with the Archbishop of Vancouver at the Chancery on 33rd Avenue. Much nicer than the old one near BC Place. It was the first time for the two of us to meet. We got along, so it was mostly, amiable banter. We talked for some time, and this meeting had a similar feeling as the meeting with the pastor. Just had the same sort of vibe. I stated that most of the reasons for stopping the program had very little or no merit, but to continue this charitable work requires no defense, and it is offered as a service to the needy. He then explained his position in the whole affair by saying that in this case he must allow the pastor to make the decision. Like before, I knew that the Archbishop wasn't going to do anything to change the sandwich program's terminal course. I said, just as I thought. The pastor has the most affluent benefactor in the Archdiocese of Vancouver in his hip pocket, and your hands are tied because it would put a big dent in your coffers if you didn't go along with whatever they were doing. How do you know about the benefactor? She tends to shun the spotlight, he asked me. I said, she might abhor stardom, but almost everyone knows who she is. The pastor has the money that gives him immunity. I thought to myself, money talks, bullshit walks. The Archbishop was kind enough to see bullshit to the door. This calamity was hard to swallow, and it stuck in my craw for at least 3 years. Nowadays, when I walk down Davie Street, some of the needy people that we served are panners, like panhandlers, or just milling about or walking by. I give money once in a while, but I look them in the eye even if I don't, hello, sorry. Some days I choose to plan my route to avoid them because I'm just in one of those moods and I don't want to get mad at them because they don't deserve getting mad at. The media mostly refers to these marginalized people as homeless. I find this offensive because many are homeless, but those who have a place to live are often pigeonholed with the homeless to receive the stigma that goes with that particular moniker. I tend to refer to all of these peoples as the needy of our society. Homeless or not, they're all the needy. I will give one example of needy. Every morning, a Ukrainian immigrant mother came pushing two boys in a stroller. She lived with the boys and an abusive alcoholic husband in a small apartment that soaked up most, the rent for the apartment itself soaked up most of their income, which is kind of normal around here. But they were even more destitute. She was there the entire 6 years of my tenure, and obviously the boys had eventually given up the stroller for a pair of shoes each. Of course, we gave her extra food for the little guys, and one day another needy person in the line remarked that she's getting more food than everyone else, and I said, I know you need food like the others, but you don't need extra food. Those little boys need additional food. And he listened. On the last day, Bad Friday, Mom and the twins showed up and we gave them a couple of grocery bags of food along with the sandwiches. And everyone's eyes were teary. She asked the boys to present us with something, and it was flowers, if you can believe it. And then the floodgates opened, of course, the little few tears turned into lots. I think she knew that we, the volunteers, get as much out of the sandwiches as they do, although we don't eat them. We make them. They do provide sustenance. Now, I can guarantee you that this woman would take offense to being called homeless. She's doing everything to keep a roof over the family's heads and, if anything, would prefer to be called needy and not homeless. Volunteering in the sandwich program was indeed a humbling experience. It's something not quite so. Well, you know what I might do is I might check again to see if there's any more podcatchers out there. Unfortunately, all these comments, I guess if I was watching it while the comments came in, I would understand who made what comment about what. And I look back on it and it's like, oh, okay. So let's see. Veronica Sisley, am I related to you? You make me chuckle with your explanation of Windows. Your mind. Yeah. Gary Duncan, hey bud, we'll try and catch you live on the next one. Stay safe. Carolyn Langdon, my niece. Hi, Uncle Dave. Hi, Carolyn. Well, I'm going to maybe get back to the thing. Oops. Excuse me. Okay. Shortcomings and weaknesses. Shortcomings and weaknesses. I aspire to resolve them. But who sets the boundaries? Some, from my point of view, are not shortcomings, but others would disagree with me. So I do tend to argue a little bit. I dearly hold on to and foster those disputed micro baby transgressions and polish them into gems of rich character. Shortcomings are beheld in the eyes of the tall. I'm not sure. Okay. What begins as a shortcoming may devolve into medium or long comings. Vigilance is key to keeping them at bay and may perhaps even extinguish them. The parameters for many deficiencies have been set by those who have many deficiencies themselves. Don't sell your shortcomings short. Okay, and here's a little, a short one at a time. It's called Glass Houses. It's really short. People who move to Silica Valley should live in glass houses with one-way mirrors correctly installed to be able to see out from the exterior walls. They must abstain from hosting wild parties. Shouldn't offend their neighbors because they may, anyhow, it's a glass house thing. And remember, nothing slips through the cracks because there aren't any. Both glass houses and the people that live in them should always keep their temper in check. Okay. Now, I got a poem. Poetry Interrupted. I'm glad that I'm able to put it up on the screen because this is a type of, I do all different kinds of poems, as most people know, but this one you have to be able to actually see it to understand. It's kind of visual. Okay, Poetry Interrupted. Fast food poems delivered like spoon-fed pablum. Open up the hanger, in goes the plane. Never gets old, always the same. Take a back seat to be driven by rhythm. A front row seat is what most people seek. Toe the line and make sure it rhymes. In sync is the structure, discordant the time. Capital I's. Punctuate. Do not repeat. Echo, re-echo, repeat, 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 repeat. Excuse me. Positively, don't use no double negatives. In the thick of rhyme, take a rapid climb, turn on a dime, and for some primetime crime, and dive right into the key lime pyorrhea. Now, pyorrhea, you'll have to look that one up. It's kind of disgusting. Anyhow, I would never think it's disgusting. I'm going to get this up again. Okay. Sorry you're hearing me mumbling to myself. Okay. So this next couple little bits here are about Salt Spring. So my 7 wonders of Salt Spring Island. Salt Springs on the old Harkema farm, Mount Maxwell, Ruckle Park, Walker's Hook, the old Hollings rhodonite mine, anywhere that's not inside school buildings. If you know me, you would understand. Any day of the week that the farmer's market isn't happening. I'll just go back to the old Hollings rhodonite mine because when I was a little kid, my dad took me there and he knew Mr. Hollings, I think it was, that had the mine on, I can picture the road. Is when you go, it's that T you hit at Fulford Bay, and if you turn right, that's the road. And anyhow, I remember going into the mine, and it was so cool, even cool as in cold, which was nights. It was a hot summer day, but that was a a nice little memory for me. Okay, here's another that's Boys Will Be Boys. I've got a lot of Boys Will Be Boys ones, so I hope it doesn't bore people. Because, you know, I was a boy at one time. Really? Mount Maxwell. If I were to explain Mount Maxwell in a few words, it would be scenic, cliffs, rocks, and old-growth trees. As young teenagers, a group of friends and I would quickly narrow that down to cliffs and rocks. We like to roll rocks off the cliffs and observe their stochastic, you might have to read that one, trajectories as they leave the scars of carnage in their wake. I thought about censoring this, but I won't because I almost feel like an irresponsible teenager again when I write of and remember this adventure. Some would knock the tops off trees, that's the boulders when they rolled off, knock them over, or hit a big tree and split in and become two projectiles. Twice as much fun, twice as much noise. One must take into account that this came about before huggers knew what trees were. You may infer that the trees were saplings, but think again, they were big rocks if one considers that the biggest was the size of a 2-ton truck. We started with small big rocks, then progressed to large big rocks. Right out of the rocks near the cliff face, we saw that massive 2-ton truck rock teetering on the brink of equilibrium. I think it was calling to us, "Please help me, release me from my lofty perch. I want to go down below to rejoin my friends." Metaphorically, that is, but not metamorphically. We made our way up to Truck Rock, and everyone got behind the rock with their backs on the cliff face and pressed against the rock with our feet. And on the count of 3, we would push, and then we would do it again. And then the next time we pushed, and there we eventually got chunks of wood and branches nearby that we could quickly grab to use as spacer so it wouldn't return to the original position. On the next try, we just barely managed to move it past the balance point. It rolled a couple of times and bounded off the top of the cliff. After that, we heard nothing of consequence. We didn't know how long it would take to travel the few hundred feet to where its metaphorical friends were waiting with open veins. I tried to find out the height of the cliff. Find out what the height of the cliff is to no avail. I actually tried to research it. I'm guessing it took 6 or 7 seconds until impact, and what a cacophonous sound, the boulder smashing against rocks and trees. Sometimes it would be airborne again for a few seconds, and the havoc would continue until the boulder came to a complete stop, well short of the target that we had for it, which was Burgoyne Bay. I suppose this could be seen as some kind of public confession, but it isn't. I had far too much fun writing and reliving this adventure. Okay, I got a really short one here. I called it Stagnant Moss. And you might be able to figure that one out after I... You can't always have what you don't. You don't always get what you can. But if you cry sometimes, you just might find the tears that you need. That's it. Just a little shorty. Hey. Well, we're doing good for time, and I've got my last song here that I'm going to roll out with. Maybe have another quick peek at I was going to say whatchamacallers, but Jocelyn, I like your story about the sandwich ministry. Lynn, hi from Salt Spring. Oh, nice, Lynn. Cool. Lynn and your sis Carolim. That's from Lynn, Canada. Jesse and Jerry. Hi, Dave. Where is this street art located? It's very cheerful. Oh yeah, it's Main Street in Vancouver, and there's also another one. They're doing more on commercial, and it's usually they have these summer little festivals and they paint the walls, which is really nice. Caroline, slick poem. Okay. So let's see. It's hot and stuffy in here right now because I had to close the window as usual. So I'm a little bit, I don't know what I would say, but I'll get through it. Okay, what I have to find is okay, this song, of course, it's one I don't know, as usual, or don't know very well. So I need some assistance here. Oops. And hold on. Be 1 minute. Okay, finally found it. This song is one that my daughter Jacqueline turned me on to, and it's called "A Picture of You," and it's the unfortunately, because of whatever copyright reasons, I guess I can't really put it on, but it's got a good video. There's two videos, and one is really good. So I suggest if you kind of think you like it to maybe look it up, play it. So I'll just say goodbye for now, and then sing and I'm gone. All right, goodbye for now. Peace out. Love you. God bless. Love is like a penny in a wishing well. It's a hand to hold and a story to tell. And every time I think about love, I see a picture of you looking back at me. I took you up to my old man's car. We wouldn't go fast, we wouldn't go far. Sitting right there in my front seat. You were the prettiest thing I'd ever seen. Time goes by so fast, and when it's gone it won't come back. If I could leave this world with just one memory, it'd be a picture of you looking back at me. Thank think I might have to go lower. Daddy, I'd have you home. We'd swing under the porch till he turned the lights on. And underneath the moon and a million stars is where I stole a kiss and you stole my heart. Time goes by so fast, and when it's gone, it don't come back. If I could leave this world with just one memory, it'd be a picture of you looking back at me. Time goes by so fast, and when it's gone, it don't come back. If I could leave this world with just one memory, it'd be a picture of you looking back at me. Good night again, everyone. Stay out of trouble.